Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your not have thought of yet.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, today's topic, woohoo, is role-playing and how to have fun. You know, you're not going to get it right the first time, but it's something good to put into your relationship. And a way to spice up the bedroom. So, let's see what we can do now. I mean, we've all thought about role-playing. And how, you know, there are those couples where both partners are already on that same wavelength and they got together because of that reason and the way that they like to be in bed, and they complement each other right off the bat. So not even having to ask the question, will you role play with me? It's kind of known, so they just need to make up some kind of ways they want to role play and different ways in which to do it. Conversation is there. They understand, but still, as stated always, please have a safe word, because it might just be that one time. Yes, your partner likes it, but I'm sure there is a breaking point where you might just hit it, and that safe word will always, always be needed. And it's just to respect your partner's feelings and not to go overboard. Now, for those partners who have been thinking about it separately, can talk about it when they're texting each other and say what they want to do, and, you know, they're thinking it out and it's in their mind, but yet they get together and either you're just way too worked up sexually, and the minute you see your partner, you get a boner or you get completely wet on the other end of that, and all you want to do is screw and get it over with. Kind of takes the mystery out of it now, doesn't it? So, try and slow it down. It's always fun to talk over send little sexting messages back to one another. It's always good to sit on the phone and see if they can make you come while you're on the phone. And it's just a way to show your partners that you are totally and undoubtedly turned on by them. So, bringing it out into the forefront and see how it really is and how it would be to actually play out what you've been thinking. If you haven't spoken about it, but you're really curious, bring it up, sit down, have that conversation. But be aware to do the first thing that you will need to do is you're going to think about how you want a fantasy to be, or what kind of fantasy that you want to do. Now, come on. The French maid servant is always on the top of the list. And then the schoolgirl is in there too, with the pigtails and everything like that. Those are on our top sexual fantasies, which is probably the first one that every guy thinks about. I mean, And you gotta, woman's gonna be, or the partner's just gonna be wearing some stilettos. Oh, well, stilettos are awesome. Spice it up a little bit more than that. Because those are well-known ones. If you want to start it out with those, because those are common, it makes it a little bit easier to see what you'd like to actually, escalate to do, or to change, or to add into that role play, in doing that in steps and thinking it out and maybe writing it down, and then the two of you get together and discuss. Both of you are writing these now, so you're going to both get together and discuss these thoughts of fantasies and see how you want to do them out and role play them. Take the schoolgirl, make her in college. I mean, she's grown up now. Get a little, when you get older, and she could be the teacher or he could be the teacher, puts a little bit more distinguishing on it. And when they are grown up, they know a lot more moves in the bed. So that role playing will definitely take on another turn. There are other ones, like using, if you're reading, if you're watching porn or reading porn, some erotic book or porn, and you're just wondering, you're reading these descriptions, you're watching these people do this on TV, on a movie, and it's turning you on. But you might want to take what they're doing and play it out. You are role playing. They just kind of sort of put the seed in your head, and you put it into your bedroom, because that's where it should be. There are a lot of porn movies out there, which we know. So go into those porn stores and pick one out together. Or if you want to try something a little horror-filled, a vampire, a werewolf, I don't know, something that you turn into something. Role-playing is just that. Think about these things. Think about what you want to bring into it and what you want to do, which is really, really good. And then sit down with your partner and discuss them. Talk it out, how you want to do it, or at least how you want to start it. It may not end up that way, because in the beginning you might feel a little uncomfortable. And then, as you're going along, you may be becoming comfortable and feel a little daring, and go a little further and add in some other things that you'd like to do sexually to your partner. And into trying a little roughness or a little, romance, and in fact, a little tease in there. But talking about it, just to, the general, don't talk about everything, because you're not exactly sure how your initial thought and talk about that role playing in the bedroom is going to actually work out, and if it's going to either turn your partner on or off, or how far that your partner will actually go. So this is where you don't want to, talk about it, yes, discuss it, say you want to do this, let's play this out from the time you get home to the time, from work to the time you go to bed. You're playing it all out, and you're intertwining day-to-day living things within it, and it's actually working and going and flowing just the way you want it. When you get into the bedroom and you hit the bed and you want to go a little further, that's where you'll know. If you're just doing it when you go to the bedroom and playing it by ear, you're learning. It's fun. And this is what it's all about. It is about the fun. It's all about enjoying each other, having the right sex in the way that you want it. Because if somebody else can have it like that, why can't you? Hell, it's all about the orgasm or what you're going about it, and getting you to, get you the hardest and get you the horniest and the wettest, so that when you do get into the act of it, it kind of just flows. You could take your sexual fantasy and up it, make it kinky. Or you don't even have to do that. it could be really just a complete role play where the end result is once you get into the bed, the act is over and boom. You don't have to talk during sex, but a lot of people would like to bring that right in to the bed, the talking. And as that, that's sexual role playing, just watching your partner getting off on it, you and your partner can kink that up one more level. So that's where, you can actually play around with it either being more kinky, rough, not rough, bring it down. Your partner's not saying you can't do it, but do it in a different way or let them guide you. The role playing is with both of you. It's just not one of you over the other, unless, of course, that is the role playing fantasy that the two of you picked out. So that is an option. So you can start out slow and progressively work your way into it. But remember, working it out slow allows for you to know, how it's actually going, and working, feeding off of each other's feedback and output will help you to know if you're going to get a little bit more kinky, a little rougher, or what's going to come next. And on that note, we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we will finish up our topic of role playing and how to have fun and, really be successful with it. It is a fun thing. So go get that drink, go get that snack. Come on back to the Sex Podcast.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, as I stated and promised, we are continuing on with our topic of role-playing in the bedroom. Brighten up that sex life a little there. There are those of you who already know that you and your partner both like role-playing. So this is a way of bringing it up a notch. But then for those of you who are those little silent fantasy thinkers, this is to help you out. So let's get on our fantasy thinking hats and continue. We ended off with making it either kinky or not, but taking it slow. Because going slow in the beginning, you really learn about you, what you like the most with role-playing, or maybe not like the most about role-playing when it comes to sex. Some of you just like to get in there, think about it, boom, bam, boom, thank you, ma'am, and you're done in about a second. That's good, but that's going to get boring. So let's work on ways to make it better and longer. Next one in our role-playing is getting dressed up for the part. Well, you really don't have to do that. You could actually just imagine your partners wearing those items. But it's much, much more fun to actually dress up and play out that fantasy, because you actually your partner can actually take the stuff off of you, like they're fantasizing all the way. In the beginning, if you're first trying this out, maybe we may not want to go that far and get dressed up, because we're just trying the waters and seeing how far and what can be done and how far our partner is going to go and if we even like it or not. So, getting all dressed up, you might feel a little strange in that first time. But remember, the whole goal here is, if you like it, to keep, kicking it up a little each time you go into it. You're not going to do it every time you have sex. There's going to be that one time that you just want to go rip your partner's clothes off and get it on. And there are others where you just want a slow tease, a little cuddle, some quality time in the bedroom, going slow, enjoying each other's bodies, and having a lot of foreplay. So there are ways to look at this. When you're first doing it, take it slow. If you don't want to put any, clothes on, some people like to do this and dress up because it allows you to take on the persona of somebody else or another character. This way, you're not actually, in your mind, there, but you are there for the sex. So that's where that comes in. So get out them little rubber outfits and leather, skirts, very low-cut shirts. Or for the man, that little, let's just put it on this way. You probably have more on than Adam does. So, pull out that little thing. Get a little character to make the nose go up. When you do. So it's always fun. It's always fun to watch that, so your partners do get a kick out of it. And have something to talk about in the meantime, to the point where they might just go out and buy you something they want to see rise up. So think about that for a little while. Now, next is, what should you say? Now remember, here is, you feel awkward in the beginning if this is your first time. Because, like I said, you're trying this out. And you don't know how far or not how far to go. So it may be a little awkward in the beginning, but it is a good laugh because the two of you are enjoying each other. And that's where that comes in. So you might want to try and just keep it, fighting through that little bit of awkwardness, because after a little while you'll get comfortable. There are times when you don't have to say much, just an action in your body allows you to do it. Or your partner tells you not to say anything but to just answer commands or to listen to what they're saying or obey what they are saying, which is still part of the role playing. So remember, saying things, this is all fun. And you need to remember that at the end of the whole entire act, it is fun. You're not there to prove anything to your partner. You're not there to prove anything to yourself. You are trying something new, something that you've probably thought about for a very, very long time and was always afraid or never found the partner to play out these sexual acts with, who would not, make fun of you or think you're crazy or, just will go right with it. So this is how you know your partner respects you as well. So the two of you should be having a grand old time with this, because that's exactly what role playing is. It is fun. It's a way of acting out what you've been thinking about or something that you saw and wondered, oh my God, I wonder if this works. Hey, you could start out the role playing watching porn if that helps to get you hot and bothered and get you comfortable enough to go and actually play out that act, because you might take that and, and just mimic what's being done on the screen to your partner, and your partner is going to welcome it because they're probably watching the darn thing with you because they're just about as horny, but the two of you are not talking about it. This is a way to get that out as well. You should always be open with your partner. Never, ever hold anything back. You should be able to let your imagination lead the way in role playing. Don't ever think that, because your partner comes home and says, oh, let's try this, and you have to do it because you're trying to please your partner. No. It's all imagination. It's all in fun. It's all, to have that fun and to just play it out. But do have that safe word. Do have that communication in the bedroom, because this is also a way to see how far that you can go without going over the comfortability, being comfortable of your, in the being very your partner being very comfortable in what you're doing, because it should go both ways, where the both of you actually are liking it. So if you don't like it, one of you do not like it, either ask your partner, or maybe there's just another way that you want to play out the sex scene, or you want to play up to that sex in that orgasm. You just want to tweak it a bit. Communicate. One word. Communicate. And this is a way to get that across to your partner. You got to feel comfortable with your partner. If you're just meeting each other and I can't see, unless the two of you already know that this is why you're together and, for this night, and you're going to just be there for that sex, and you want to play this out, and you've been, over a couple of drinks, or you've been at a party and you just met up with each other, with friends or whatever, and you two are sitting there talking about it, and then, get this thought, you've already planned it out in your head. Well, then that's something different. Just get to it and do it. But does not mean that there still is not something that you will not do. It's called respect for each other. So remember that. Role playing is always about having fun and spicing up the bedroom. So remember that as well. Respect each other. And please do laugh. Do have fun. Don't stop. Just keep going. It is going to be awkward. It's going to be weird. If you think that little awkwardness could be, covered up with using some kind of toy or something, this is where this comes into play. You use those dildos. You bought them for a reason. You bought that little feather or that butt plug for a reason. It's called role playing. So use them. You spent some money on them. That's what they're there for. So let's take our second break here. Replenish that drink. Replenish that snack. And when we come back, the last portion of our session, we'll talk about some sex role plays, some ideas that you have to at least try once, which is always a good thing to have a plan. So we at least try these once. So come on back to the Sex Podcast.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website. Then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Now welcome back, all my sex dogs, and to our final portion of our show, where we're going to end out with role-playing, but sex ideas you have to try at least once when role-playing. Remember, we're to have fun, so let's give these a try and see how that is. You know, you may have your own ideas. Well, here's a few just to throw it at you. How's that one sound? First, we will talk about, getting it on with your manager or work supervisor. Now, I just heard a majority of you just cringe. But for those of you who did not cringe, you're probably already checking out your manager or your work supervisor. I'm wondering how it would be or how they are in the sack. So filling out that fantasy might just be your way of finding out. Or if they are single and they're interested in you, shoot, play it out with that person. This is one of the ones where, gives you a little bit of control depending on who wants to be the manager or supervisor. We may do it with one partner being that individual, and then the next time, spice it up and have the other partner be it. But a different scenario. But do try it. Because, a lot of you have thought about it. This may be your way of trying it out. Next one is the classic maid or butler. Come on, the classic French maid. That's the first one everybody goes to when it comes to role playing. Well, it is a cute little outfit. Doesn't matter. But hey, spike it up a little notch there with, I don't know, a little extra domineering. Put a little orders in there and see how well your partner obeys. You might want to change that outfit around. You might have another way of looking at that little maid or butler. French, American, Italian, doesn't matter what shape, size, form, or culture. You decide, because it is your fantasy and your role playing. So, a lot of, time period is the same thing, where you want that maid or butler to come in. An erotic, massager. Oh, come on. How many of you have gone to that little hole in the wall and had that massage and got sexually turned on by it? Well, now you can make this your role playing, where your partner is your erotic massager. And you just sit back and enjoy the rub down. But, partners, you could actually go down there and start rubbing genitals. I'm sure that's what goes on behind closed doors. Although if you ask, that don't happen here. Yeah. Then you could just turn that around and exchange the roles where your partner who was giving the massage is now the masseuse. Get a little creative with that massage, because that's all what it's about. All about that erotic, sexual, turn on, hot as a rock, wet as whatever you want. And then just have it out on the table. Or you can have it out somewhere else. But do get creative. Being someone you don't know. So, let's role play as strangers. So, play it out, that role play, like you've never met each other before. It's the first time you're meeting. And just act up what you were thinking. You could go back to that time and go out and say, well, this is what I was thinking when, I first saw you. And you can play that out. That is a role play. Because in the beginning, you probably were strangers. So, there are those who were introduced and you hung out with the same friends and everything else. But if you see someone on the street and you're checking them out, that is usually our first attraction, and our minds go wild of how that person is in the sack. And generally that's what we base our our attraction to that person on, regardless of the fact of talking to them later and finding out you really actually do like them for more than that. So, play out that. 2 strangers on the bus, 2 strangers on the train, 2 strangers walking down the street, or someone coming to your house knocking on the door to use your telephone. So get creative with them, strangers. Strangers could be anything. You can, get them wigs, get an outfit, play it up. You might just want to go to the door butt-ass naked under a raincoat. So pull out the raincoat. Although, depending on the weather, your neighbors might think you're a little strange. But, hey, not their fantasy. It's yours. It's them not playing role plays. If they want to come in on it and you like it, invite them in. With some, more the merrier. Next role play that you must try is an authority figure. General practitioner, medical professional. Come on, how many of you want to play the gynecologist? There's a lot of openings down there. Boom. This is the first medical profession everybody generally goes to. Because you can just take your face down there and role playing and have a different type of examination, like with your tongue, and seeing how healthy your partner really is. And coming back with your diagnosis. Or you might have to go back for a second examination to follow up. But your partner doesn't mind. Because you are the authority figure. You know what you're doing. Get to it. You're the doctor. And this is the role you're playing. Or you can swap positions. Another type of doctor. Bend over and cough. So there are ways to look at that. Next one. Outdoorsy sex scenes. Now, the majority of individuals who are sexually active with partners or something that you've wanted to do in role play is outside. So, get on those hiking boats and go camping. Or, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of plants in the house. Make it your own kind of jungle and explore. There might be a snake in the grass that needs a kiss. So play those outdoorsy roles. You might already have the clothes in your closet. Pull them out. But have fun. This is a real, other ways of looking outdoorsies is farmhand. The maiden, the milk maiden. So think about it. She could be walking around with her tits right up underneath her chin, and she's bringing you the milk. So there are ways to get really naughty with that one. Next role play that you must try is your first time. Act as though this is your first time and you're exploring the waters, because you might find something you didn't realize the first time. But just, have some fun at it. Act that little scary, like you're losing your virginity, not knowing what to expect, and teach along the way. Because that's all about what the first time is about. Now there's the yoga master or the instructor. I see a lot of bendability here. So this is one of the good ones. These, anything you can do. Monarchy, darling. Authority figures. Innocence. It doesn't matter. Have fun with role playing. Bring it into your sex life. But do talk about it first. It's going to be awkward if this is the first time you're doing it with your partner. Talk out what your role play is going to be. But know that you have a safe word if it gets too, a little out of the ordinary. And do respect your partner for their feelings. That is the end of my show. With such sorrow. But as always, practice safe sex. If not for your partner, for yourself. And please stay safe in our present COVID-19 pandemic situation here. But still remember, you are human. And sex is always on your mind. Goodbye for now.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.